The team lead role. Sometimes you need it. Or do you? Let's dig in.
Entry music. Da, 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 da. It's the Bob and Josh Show.
Bob,
Josh,
how do you feel about lead engineers?
give me more. Like, what do you mean by like a tech lead or?
Do you believe the concept of having a lead on your team creates more problems than it helps?
Yes.
You do? Well, that stinks because I was hoping we would argue about something.
So you feel the same?
I do.
Well, there's two sides to it, I think, Josh. So I think there's a rational reason to do it. I disagree with it. But I think people who, like when you're moving agile, I see people who, we have an org structure, we have titles, we have people who have a view of their role,
Right?
And they're in a leadership role, or architects leads, tech
Yep,
leads,
yep.
And a lot of times they're semi-managers, they're quasi-managers because they have people. I've seen people report to them on an org chart, not a lot, but. So then you go agile and you structure teams. So what do you do to those folks? Do you demote them? So very often they're thrown into agile teams, and the roles stick and the responsibilities sort of stick. And I actually think it's pretty caustic to the team, but I can understand why, like as an initial stab at agile, where you have to do that, I would hope that the leadership team would have the wherewithal to change that dynamic over time, right? So I don't like it at all.
Yeah, same.
Why don't you like it?
Well, the biggest thing for me is what happens is there's a defined designated lead. So what I really believe unintentionally happens is that the rest of the team stops leading. So they step back, and there becomes that one person that when there's a tough question, like the room quiets, everybody turns to that person,
and all ears, and it's like Josh is. Yeah. I've seen people act that way around you, like Josh is speaking. Well, that's true. Occasionally,
the
biggest sigh in the world. It's true. They do that to me sometimes.
The biggest issue in working with Bob over these years is what everyone just saw, that sarcastic niceness, if that's a thing.
It's not all. Sometimes it's
I accept and I appreciate that there was a thin thread of sincerity in there.
There was.
But it was heavily laced.
It was laced a little. I shouldn't laugh. No, but get back. Leads, I think it neutralizes if your goal. So why?
Ooh,
let me be
point.
Let me be careful. If your goal is to just go agile, then do whatever the hell you want. But if your goal is to create these teams where every team member kicks ass, every team member is accountable, every team member is responsible, every team member is growing themselves, their skill set,
right?
Every team member is adding their ideas to the pot, and really they're all in. They're all in, and they're excited, and they're growing. Let's call that a high-performance agile team.
Yep.
Then having a lead I don't think is conducive to that. I think it's corrosive to that.
Yeah.
Right? To your point, then everyone looks at that person. And it's not about, that person could be a terrible leader or a good leader. Now, terrible leader, they're going to have a more caustic effect.
Yeah.
But I think having someone who owns something outside the team is a bad idea.
Yeah, and it often happens without malintent. So those lead engineers don't intentionally try and shut other team members down. They're often doing it with the best intentions of, okay, we've got this meeting, we've got this hard problem. The shortest path from A to Z is this answer. Off we go. Let's go start writing code. What that starts to do is it starts to erode the teamwork. So go to sports. Let's talk about the best teams versus a team with the best player.
Yep.
So often the best team wins because if it's basketball, there's 5 people that work well together. Whereas if there's a team with a single great player, everybody passes the ball and watches and hopes that person makes the shot. That's ultimately what happens to your team, which sometimes works.
Right.
But in the long run, it's going to fail and it's going to be a real problem. And you're ultimately going to lose to teams that are teams. So the same things will happen within your team. And there's a lot of hard discussions that I've had to have with folks that were leads of some sort and say, hey, listen, I need you to shut up.
And
just let other people.
Something you said, though, I think they're not all good intentioned.
Agree.
Right. So, and I'm not saying they're bad people, but we've talked about being egoless.
Yeah.
Like being an egoless, not about you leader. Mm-hmm. I think that takes years to learn that and coaching to learn that. I mean, we've joked about you and I in the beginning. It was about us. It was about us leading.
Yeah.
We weren't bad people, but we had healthy egos, and we felt like we knew the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Right. And we were well intentioned, but we were also obnoxiously full of ourselves. And I don't think very many team leads are self-aware to put that on the back burner and to step back.
Yeah.
So there's a maturity aspect to it as well, I think.
And that self-awareness, while sometimes, yes, intentional, often isn't. Of like, oh, I'm doing that? Gosh, I didn't want to squash that person. It really upsets me that my friend that I go to lunch with every day just wishes they could get a word in a meeting because they have some good ideas and they feel like they never get a chance to get them out there. I've had a lot of good discussions where people realize that and it crushes them. Now, those are the people that make the quickest turn.
Yep.
Because they see it, they feel it, they care about the team members, and they really want to make a difference. So they make those changes quickly meaning months.
Yep.
And then there are other people that don't see it, don't believe it, and you've got a year-long slog to try and get them to understand that.
Now, I do think, it's not this democracy where it's a kumbaya leadership thing in a team, in a scrum team, where, we get around a campfire and we, take forever to make decisions.
Right.
I do think there's situational leadership in the team where someone pops up and they probably, they have either the domain experience or they have the technical experience, and they lead a decision or they lead a design, and then they go back. I actually think their head pops up, they have a leadership role, it's appropriate, it's thoughtful, the team acknowledges it, they lead, and then they go back down.
Yes.
So there's leadership, but it's not declared leadership, it's more organic, like emergent leadership where it makes sense. Would you?
Right, and that's the challenge is to know when to do that, because so often people over-rotate and just shut down completely and don't jump up when they should, don't help out when they should, so then the team starts to flounder, and that makes things worse.
Yep.
So having that situational awareness of, I probably need to step in because we're struggling a little bit, being able to see that versus, okay, cool, the team's got it. I'm going to sit here, just kind of let this happen, maybe add a few bits and pieces, but they've got it, and let them go.
Yep. And it's the title. Lately I've been encountering a lot of clients who the managers become scrum masters of the teams, and so the scrum master role is not a leadership role, but because the managers are leaders, whether they do it intentionally or unintentionally, they're leading the team, and many of them aren't aware of the influence it has. So it's not just the team lead; it's I'm opposed to anyone who has a leadership role mucking things up in the team. I just don't like that.
Yeah.
I want them outside of the team. I want them encouraging the team, supporting the team, handling the impediments for the team. But leadership has to come from in the team.
Okay, so two actions. One, tomorrow, or if tomorrow's the weekend, the first day you're back at work, sit in your next meeting, see if you are that lead. Are you that person? Be intentional about that next refinement session, next planning session, next retro, that next team meeting where you're working together to solve a problem or reach a goal. Find that person. It might be you. And if it is, start stepping back. Start thinking, what can I do? We actually have a ton of episodes that are on this that we can put in the comments below to help you navigate that if you realize that you're that person. If you are the manager or you're the agile coach, look around. See if every meeting the same person speaks up, which in turn means all of the other people don't get a chance to speak up. That is likely creating a problem.
So what is your job? Instead of leading, encourage other people to lead, to step in, ask questions, invite them in, call on them even. Really encourage that. And if someone does step in, applaud that or appreciate that.
Amen.
So be the spark plug, not for leading, be the spark plug for creating the emerging.
Right. View your goal is, how do I help this entire team have a voice in where we go and who we become? When you do that, amazing things happen.
That's a nice way to wrap it up, because it does. The teams kick ass when that happens. The reason we're harping on it, the reason I'm talking about the leadership, that's how you create a high performance team. It's not by one person. It's by encouraging the team to lead themselves.
That's that secret word that everybody's chasing: scale. When you have teams that do that, scaling's not an issue.
No.
When you have these individual leaders, that's when scaling becomes a problem. Scaling agile isn't about a framework or a process. It's about, can you create high-performing teams, real teams? And if you can do that, scaling just melts away.
So boiling this down to 5 seconds, team leads, managers, scrum masters, blah, 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 blah. Don't do that. It's bad.
Yes. Okay. So before you go, you've hit that subscribe button. If you haven't, hit it. You've also hit the notification button. If you haven't, hit it. That way, when Bob and I make new videos, you know about it instantly. Ooh. What's better than that?
I can't even imagine, Josh.
Me either. Okay. So from
beautiful downtown Fuquay Arena, North Carolina, I'm Bob Galen.
And I'm Josh Anderson.
Shake
and bake.
Take care, y'all. Smooth.
Silky.
Like Kentucky bourbon in the morning.
You know what I'm most excited about?
No, I don't.
After each episode, I'm going to put a couple outtakes in there. And that's going to be one of them.
Which one?
The Kentucky bourbon one.
Oh, cool. Oh, that's wonderful. Maybe I'll take my shirt off and get a tan. Are you ready for this? Were you ready for me disrobing this morning? Metacasters, do I have a treat for you? This is a amenable Bob. Wait, you give me the look. Like what? I don't always give you a hard time.
Yeah, you do.
I do.
Like, you not giving me a hard time is actually giving me a hard time.
That's what I'm sensing.
That's
you're so.
That's the reality.
You're programmed to getting a hard time. You're like, you don't know how to.
That's
handle
because it feels like you're being sarcastically nice.
I'm just going with the flow.
This should be so much easier, and it's not. How do we start this? I forget how we started the last one.
We started it very poorly last time. Very poorly.
This is the worst part.
Welcome to the Metacast.
We took that out.